Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're taking a look at a really cool watch. This is a retro reissue from the 1970s Chronograph A by Bulova, also known as the Surfboard because of the surfboard shape that surrounds the two subdials. I really like this watch. It's an amazing watch for the money, so stick around and I'll tell you all about it. Unbelievably amazing strap up. Alright, so let's get started. So this is a chronograph by Bulova, which is now owned by Citizen, but Citizen is letting Bulova do their thing and bring out retro watches, which are some of my favorite. I'm not a fan of Bulova's latest designs. It just doesn't speak to me. However, their retro reissues from the 60s and 70s are almost all of them are home runs. And until I got this watch in my hands, I didn't realize just how gorgeous that dial is. I've never seen the brushed on that off-white, or I call cream color. It's sort of like a champagne color, but without the pinkish hue that you would see in champagne colors. But that, almost all watches now are like brass faceplates on the dial, and this one is no different. And it has, I don't know if I can capture, I've never seen it on pictures or in videos, but if you look carefully at that dial, it has vertical brushing on it. I'm going to see if I can capture the right angle. I can't see it on my monitor, but hopefully on a TV or something, you're going to be able to see the beautiful brushing. Also, look at the faceted indexes. Those are 45-degree angles probably, highly polished. So when you turn the watch, especially in lower light, you're going to see sparkles ripping across the dial. It's just absolutely, it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And this watch is made in Japan. Not a lot of people realize that. You know, when you buy a Citizen or G-Shock, you buy the made in Japan models, and it has premium materials and premium fit and finish, and this watch is no different. So Bulova was an American company, but now it's a Japanese one, and their watches are made in 3 factories, I found out, either Hong Kong, Japan, or Switzerland, believe it or not. Yeah, they have an Accu-Swiss line that they call it, that are all Swiss made. Well, according to the Swiss standards, I think 60% or up, depending on the watch. The parts are either made all in Switzerland or some of the parts are made somewhere else. But by and large, the assembly, the movement, the case, and everything is Swiss made. And no different than the Swiss version of this watch we'll talk about a little bit later. But this is the Japanese version, and consistent with other Japanese versions of watch like G-Shock and Citizen, as I mentioned, you're going to get superior fit and finish and material. It's just absolutely amazing. So you're looking at the dial through a boxed sapphire crystal that's just absolutely stunning. It only has a little bit of distortion on the edges, which gives it more of that retro look. You've got that high boxed sapphire crystal right there, and it does have anti-reflective coating, which does a really great job. So the lighting is much better outside. It's an overcast day, and I wanted to come out here, but you are going to see reflections from the clouds there. But any other watch, you'd barely see the dial right now. So really good job with that. We have an aluminum bezel, highly polished and anodized, a black and red. It's sort of a tornado style case, and what that means is when you have the edges here, instead of independent lugs, the case goes right into the left hand and the right hand of the lugs here, and that just gives you the shape that continues for the lugs. On most watches, you got a round portion and then the lugs come off. This is just integrated in the case, and that's why it has that shape. And this is a chronograph. Obviously, there's the pushers, and we have a screw-down crown and a screw-down back. And what's amazing about this sport chronograph reissue is that it's 200 meters water resistance. I was shocked when I found that out. You're lucky to get 100 meters usually on chronographs. Typically, you're going to see 30 or 50 meters, and this is an astounding 200 meters. That's because this is a sport or diving chronograph, which is unusual. Usually you have screw-down crowns, and this one doesn't have that. Very well water protected. So this way, if you're wearing this chronograph and you want to time sporting events, you don't have to worry about water, splashing, swimming, anything at all, which is pretty amazing. That's fantastic. And then you have a silicone strap. A lot of times they call these rubber strap, but this one's made out of silicone. It's got a nice texturing to it. And those center diamond shapes is actually where the pin goes when you adjust the size of it. We'll get to that strap in a minute. Let's just take a look at that case a lot more. We have a screw down back. Now I'm gonna have to get I do all my battery changes myself. I open my watches myself, and I have a watch opener with the grooves. But this one doesn't have that. This one you open it by those facets on the outside, and I don't have a watch opener for that. So I'm gonna have to order one. The writing is precise. Look at that milling on that. It's just amazing. This watch is, if you're on the fence on whether you should get this watch or not, I would say pull the trigger, because it's a home run in my book. It's got beautifully polished sides. The back is all satin. The top is satin finish, where you don't have a lot of reflections, consistent with a sports watch. So the sides, including the pushers, are highly polished. And there we have the beautiful screwed on crown. It's big enough to unscrew without any effort. It's beautifully signed. I don't know if you can see that there with the Bulova. See if I can get the right angle. We could take a look at the signed crown. The entire word Bulova is on there. Might be laser etched. It's just very beautifully done. Everything is, the corners are all chamfered. So the dimensions on this watch, we have 14.5 millimeters thick. Not the thinnest watch, but not the thickest either. So it rides very comfortably on the wrist. The back is, the writing is nicely done, but it's all smooth, so it's not going to irritate your wrist with sharp edges or anything like that. It sits on very well. And that includes the dome sapphire crystal, that 14.5. Not too bad for a chronograph. So we have a 40.5 millimeter diameter, and Bulova is really smart. I mean, they didn't come out and make this oversized like they did with the Lunar Pilot. So many people complain about the Lunar Pilot being 46 millimeter, too big and too top heavy. So they didn't do that at all. So they came out right out of the bat, right out of the gate with a very nice sized watch. So this watch isn't so big. This will fit a 6.5-inch wrist comfortably and bigger. No problem. Up to 8-inch wrist is looking very nice. We'll put it on the wrist a little while. Yeah, just a really nice case shape. 46 millimeters only from lug to lug, which is amazing. Amazingly reasonably in size. So that's why I can carry off on a lot of wrists. 18 millimeter strap. Yeah, just a really nice, comfortable shape. It's only 3.7 ounces, so it's not too fatiguing on the wrist. When I first got it, I wore this every day for 2 weeks. Sometimes I forgot I was wearing a watch, that it was so comfortable. And plus I wear two watches. I often wear one on my right hand, a Garmin that keeps track of all my health, heart rate, oxygen, all that stuff. So this is my left-hand watch I wear all the time, past couple of weeks. Very comfortable. All right, so let's talk about that aluminum anodized bezel. Really well made, really precise. It's bidirectional and go both ways. It doesn't hang over the edge, as you can see here, so it's not easy to bump. I heard people say, oh, you could bump it, but I tested, I kind of slapped around the watch and everything, and it wasn't moving at all. So it's not going to move. It's really smooth, really precise. And instead of a elapsed timer on the bezel, the numbers are going the opposite direction, so it's sort of a countdown bezel. So it's going to start counting down. You put in 50 minutes and it's going to count down the zero that way instead of elapsed time. Right now we have the chronograph running. I just want you to see that the left-hand subdial here, that is going to be elapsed time up to an hour on the chronograph. And over here we have the seconds, the regular seconds ticking away. And the seconds are hitting right on the indexes. Very precise. This is a very precise watch. It has a Miyota movement. I'll talk about the movement in a minute. But as you can see, it's hitting exactly on the indexes. Really well done. Now the chronograph, if you can tell, instead of clicking every second like most quartz watches do, this is a quartz Miyota movement, it's clicking 4 times a second. So that means the resolution on the stopwatch or chronograph is going to be 0.25 or a quarter of a second resolution, which is pretty cool. Another thing is, unlike most quartz chronographs, this one here is going to have a click. When you push it, you can feel it and you can hear it. Most quartz chronographs are going to be kind of mushy, and since they're clicking once per second, when you click it, nothing happens. You don't hear a sound, you don't feel a click, and also the second hand doesn't start moving for a full second. So sometimes you don't know if you pushed it or not. This is not the case at all. So in this one here, you can feel it, you can hear it, and also within a quarter of a second it starts moving. So you don't get that weird delay effect on most chronographs. It acts and feels just like a mechanical chronograph, which is amazing. Let me bring this up to the microphone. Let's see if you can hear it. All right, I did that just in case you could hear it, but yeah, believe me, you can hear it and feel it pretty good, so that's pretty amazing. And as you can see right now, I started this chronograph before I made the video about 25 minutes ago, as you can see right on the sub-dial over here. You can see we're closing in on 30 minutes there. So let's stop it. Over here, you hit this button, the lower one, to reset it, and you could watch, it goes right back to 12. As you can see, it's dead nuts right on 12 o'clock, but if it wasn't, like if you change the battery, sometimes that'll be off, but no problem. This advanced movement allows you to adjust and zero out that chronograph hand. So you could actually adjust that, which is pretty cool too. So you never have a problem with misalignment, having to send the watch back or something like that. So that's awesome. Let's watch that sweep hand one more time. All right, so that's the chronograph. Okay, so I forgot to mention on the crown here, we have a sine crown, screw down crown, and when you unscrew it, it's a very precise feeling unscrewing, and it has, right there, boom, we have a really nice pop. And then you pull it out and you are able to set the time. No date on this watch, you don't have to worry about the day, AM, PM, or anything like that. So a really nice pop on there. Really nice precision feel. It's a little small for turning, but not bad, and it looks really good on the watch, so you don't have to open it that much. This movement is the 6S21 Miyota movement, plus 20 or minus 20 seconds per month, which is pretty good. And usually you get better than that. I often find it's much better than that, and it often runs better when it's on your wrist because it's temperature compensated for that. So really precise quartz movement. Also, this movement is responsible for having that mechanical feel to the chronograph, which is pretty cool, and it beats that 32,000, I think 768 hertz, which is how many beats per second, which is pretty high. It has a 3-year battery life on that battery, which is a 395/399 battery. Maybe one of those is lithium and one is non-lithium battery or alkaline type. So if there's a choice, definitely get the lithium version. You're going to get that 3-year, about 3 years. If you're running the chronograph all the time and stuff, it'll probably be a little less than that. And also that movement, as I mentioned, has the ability to zero out that 12 o'clock feature. So that's the Miyota, and it's not the cheapest movement, it's a more expensive movement, so it's pretty cool that they put that in here. So these watches here go for about, I think they retail for $695. This is September of 2021, and the current price is around $695, but just like other Bulovas, you can get discounts often 25% from authorized dealer. I like buying my watches almost always from authorized dealers, but the secondary market or the gray market dealers are fine too if you want an even better discount. But what I do is I get mine from authorized dealers, often jewelry stores online, and then what I do is I wait until it's a discount, and then I have a coupon or something, and then I get really good prices because I'm not subsidized. I don't get free watches from anyone. All my videos are my honest opinion of these watches. I own them. If I love the watch, I keep it. Otherwise, I flip it and I buy something else for you guys to put on a review. So in saying that, if you like and subscribe and all that stuff, it really helps it a lot. So please do that if you can. And also, I'll be doing another Bulova soon. And perfect time for a wristwatch check. I haven't done that yet. So let's take a look at what I'm wearing on my wrist. Dun, 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 dun. Oh yeah, we have a Bulova Devil Diver. This is the Swiss-made one. I'm really looking forward to doing this review. This is a fabulous watch. I haven't been able to take this off for a couple of weeks now. This has a Swiss Solida SW200, so look forward to this review here and put on the bell notification when I do this in a few days, and you'll get to see the review of that watch. So let's get back to the start of the show. All right, let's talk about the strap a little bit. So as I mentioned, this is a silicone strap, and a lot of you are going to be disappointed like I was to find out that just because it says deployant clasp on the descriptions, or people call it deployant clasp, that doesn't really tell you too much, because there's like 5 different kind of deployant clasp. There is the fold over clasp, the fold over double button clasp. There are just all different types of locks, including the butterfly, and that's what this one is. So I'm not a big fan of butterfly clasps. If you don't know what that is, that's this right here. And usually, like if I want to get a watch that has a nice bracelet, that's those chain bracelets, or the ones that have the bead bracelets, which I really like, almost every single one of them has a butterfly clasp, and I usually get turned off by it. I love this watch so much that I was going to let that butterfly clasp stop that. And because it has a common size strap, there is going to be no problem getting straps. I have a couple straps like that. However, I was pleasantly surprised that I love this clasp. I heard one reviewer said that this was nothing special. I totally disagree. I've had about 5 watches that had butterfly clasps, and I usually hated all of them. Since the mechanism is inside the wrist instead of outside, they always push uncomfortably on my wrist. I'd move my wrist and they would often unlock and pop off like that. I'd go to squeeze these and open it, and it would pinch my wrist. So I've always hated these, and I avoided watches with these, especially on a bracelet. It was hard to replace. But this one, this clasp, probably because it's made in Japan, is just absolutely amazing. Extremely precise. Every single edge on this thing has been polished. It is soft to the touch, like everywhere. It's really, really amazing. And then over here, this is the adjustment thing. All you do is just pull this side up, it opens up, and there's a little pin in there, just like a pin buckle, and you move it up and down the strap and put it in whatever hole you want, and that's how you adjust it that easy. You're not cutting like Tissot watches. A lot of those have rubber and you have to cut them off. Man, I had a $1,200 watch that had a $100 strap on it with a titanium clasp here, but instead of doing this, you had to cut it. So I cut it little at a time, and it was too loose, too loose, too loose. I cut one more and it was too tight, and I had to sell the strap and get another one. Terrible. So this is really refreshing that you could just adjust that. So all you do is push it, click, and then we're going to do it on my wrist in a minute. Push it, click, and you're done. You put this on, that's it. And then also, when you're putting it on, it's totally like a bracelet around your wrist. So if you're like me and you only use one hand to put on your watch, when you're doing a pin buckle, I usually have to, if you're taking a walk or something, your wrist is swelling up, you want to bring it up and bring it down a loop to make it a little bit looser, which I do all the time. Usually I have to put the watch against my chest, if you know what I mean, and then you have to navigate this. Well, I know on my Samurai I was doing that, and I'm tall, so it was up 5 feet. It dropped 5 feet onto the asphalt. I couldn't stick my foot out in time to catch it like I do when I drop things. And it hit the gravel and the asphalt, and it put like a ding over here, not too bad. But the watch was fine. But this one, that's never going to happen because it's totally around your wrist, and if you drop it, it's just going to be on your wrist, which is one of the benefits of this type, or any type of deploying clasp watch. You can have that. So yeah, really easy to do. So far, I haven't wanted to replace the strap. I still will, just have a different color. Maybe I could put a red strap or something to match the bezel. You can have fun with that. It's always fun to change straps. The light went down a little bit. Let's try that dial again, see if you can see the brushing. Look for the brushing on that cream dial. or that pseudo champagne dial. Let's see if we can see the brushing. Also, there's a tachometer on there. I don't want to forget. I know I'm talking about the strap, but there's a tachometer there. So if you know the speed of like a car or something, but not the distance, this will tell you that, or vice versa. If you have the distance like a track, you could figure out how fast the car is going, or other things. You could time with that. So let's wrap up the strap. So the strap is made out of silicone. What's really strange about this silicone, see how twisty it is and soft? But actually, it's a little bit harder than all the silicones or polyurethane straps that I've seen. There's the, before I forget, there's the Bulova signed clasp, which is another nice touch. So yeah, you're gonna get all these cool things on here. But that strap, yeah, it's really weird. It's like it's sort of hard, but yet it's flexible too. So a very unusual strap. It has all these ridges on top, as you can see right there, little teeth. That could be a design element, but it really does a great job of holding the keepers in place. These are both floating, so you don't have one tied over here, and that's because of the clasp is in the way. So you can slide that up later. But once you slide it up, it's not moving anywhere. Those teeth are holding this right now. You can feel resistance trying to move it. And then the rubber, the silicone against silicone is keeping it from moving as well. So, well, let's try it on the wrist now. Since we're talking about the strap, we'll show you how easy it is. And here you could, while I'm doing that, you could take a look at the double diver, also sapphire. All right, actually I better move this so I don't knock it off. You know what, I'm gonna put this on my right hand wrist because I don't feel like dropping this very expensive Swiss watch. All right, so let's get that on the right wrist. There's a wrist shot. All right, so here we go with the star of the show here today. So let's see if I can do it on camera. I'm putting it on, and how easy it is to put on. So slip it over your wrist, and then we just push that one down, and then we just push this one down, and you put in the keepers and you're done. So that's how easy it is. So just slide this up, slide this one over, and that's how it looks on my 7.5 inch wrist. And I have a wide not a round 7.5 inch wrist. Some people have really round, so their wrist is actually be less in diameter. But I can wear a watch that's about 54 millimeters lug to lug. This one's only 46, so this would be fine at 6.5 and up. 7 inch, it would look spectacular. It's just a great looking watch. There it is on the strap. It doesn't move at all, and yet there's plenty of room here, and that's easily adjustable. Then you can just move both keepers over. Let's get those keepers over here. It's much easier to do. I'm just on camera, so it's a little bit hard looking through the camera. But yeah, there it is. Just a beautiful watch. All right, let me see if I forgot anything before we wrap up this getting to be a long video. But yeah, I just love this so much that I love talking about it. All right, so I mentioned that this is one of the colorways to this watch. Let me take this off and I'll tell you about the other colorways. So this model is a 98A, hence the name A Chronograph, 98A 252. There's also a 253 and a 254, and those are different colorways. One of them is going to be orange strap. So this strap here will be all orange. This red part here would be orange, and the hands are orange. The minute, the second hand, and our hand has those tips that are orange on the orange colorway. And then you're going to have an identical dial with the black and cream, and then the hands are going to be white on the subdials on that orange version. There's also a Pepsi version, which is really nice. The Pepsi version is going to be blue strap. It's going to have a red bezel exactly like this one, except it's going to be red and blue instead of red and black. And that one's going to have instead of cream, it's going to be a blue dial. And then you're going to have instead the white, not cream, I think that one's really white. And that's going to be in the center. You're going to have black sub hands. You're going to have red all the other hands. And then the strap's going to be blue. And that one's really nice. The reason why I picked this colorway is I got this from an authorized dealer on clearance. And the other watches were like $200 more. They were at a discount, but they were still $200 more. I got almost half price on this because it was on clearance. So would I be willing to pay $200 more for the other colorways? I don't think so, because I like all three. But my only nitpick on this watch is that I don't have any cons. Basically, the whole review is like a pro of this watch, and if there's really no cons that I can think of. Maybe the back, instead of having it conventional, but I really like the look of the back. It's going to be a little bit harder to take it off, but that's not really a con or anything. But my only nitpick about this is I don't understand why they made the hands and the three hands orange instead of red. I would have preferred if they were consistent. I don't understand why they did that. If you look at the red version of the watch, that's the hands are all red, all 5 hands are red. And they can do that because the surfboard is white and the red hands are easy to see. But if you put red hands, those sub hands on this black, you're not going to see them. And that's probably what they were thinking. But all they had to do was leave this identical and just change those 3 hands to red. And I think it would look more consistent. But there's no reason not to get this colorway if you like it. Also, this I think would look good with a red strap or a cream strap or something different. It just cries to be on a 3-color NATO or something. I think that would be amazing. But yeah. So that's the colorways, 252, 253, and 254 on those colorways. All right, one more thing what I mentioned too is when this came out, before this reasonably priced version here, they also, just like the Devil Diver, they have a Swiss instead of Japanese version of this watch. And hopefully you're sitting down to hear the price on that one. That one is $2,995, basically $3,000. And why is that? Well, it's all Swiss made and it's a Swiss made chronograph. So what they did was they have a Sellita SW510, which is a virtual Swiss made clone of the Reissue 7750. And you're probably familiar with those on most of the other chronographs that are reasonably priced like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. You're going to see the Reissue 7750 in there. And some of the older Hamiltons, you're going to get that. Movement, so that's why that one's so expensive. You got a really expensive Swiss movement in there on that watch. That watch is I think a little bit smaller than this as well, supposedly 38 millimeters. I haven't confirmed that because I haven't got my hands on one. And also it's extremely limited. My Devil Diver that you just saw comes 666 were made instead of like tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands that they make of these. The Swiss version of this is only 350, so that's an extremely scarce watch. However, because of the price, it came out in 2020. This one came out in January of 2020, and the other one came out just last year. So those are still available. So if you like this watch, you want it in a Swiss version, it's still available, and you probably can get a better price than that, maybe, than the $3,000. I'm not sure, but if you want a Swiss version of this, you can get one. They're out there, and it's an amazing watch. All right, so I think I'll wrap this up here. Thanks so much for watching my channel. Like and subscribe if you like what you see, and notification you'll get it notified when I upload my video of my Bulova Devil Diver. If you like retro Bulovas, you're going to like that video. Thanks so much for watching. I'm glad you're here, and we'll catch you next time.